Joining me now is BT Hale. We have a lot to talk about because it's homecoming week, and we've got a former homecoming king sitting right here. But of course, he is a double hump camel, and we have been talking to him because we are always interested in what he is doing. But my gosh, when he was on the brand new reality show with Jimmy Fallon on brand, that is certainly something to talk about. And BT, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, but of course, since the last time that we met, you were eliminated from the show with the challenge. But my gosh, I mean, it was emotional for all of us walking home. I mean, the text that flew back and forth to the people that were in your corner that came to me when that went on, and I know it was a lot for you. So can you take me through that, man, that challenge and that crazy day?
Yes. Oh, man. Obviously, that was, the worst because you don't want to. I felt like I had so much left to give to the challenges, and um, so the thing about Southwest that kind of stunk was, at first they told us that we could pitch an idea using a celebrity. So going into it, I had come up with this idea that I thought was perfect using Shaq, because who better to talk about more legroom, how big the seat is, than somebody like Shaq. But why I tied that in was they didn't make it clear, but the pitch is another term for the leg room on the plane, right? And the pitch was going from 31 inches to 34 inches. And so on our briefs, like the number 34 was everywhere. So as a sports fan, when I think 34, Shaq's one of the first people to jump out. So that was another way it tied in. Another way Shaq was the perfect reason, or perfect celebrity to use was, Southwest. The idea for Southwest was born on a napkin. Like, you can go look this up. This is on their website. Their owner was sitting at a bar with a friend. He drew a triangle on a cocktail napkin that said Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. And kind of that was the first area that Southwest really serviced. And so Shaq grew up in San Antonio. He currently lives in Dallas. And so that's two of the three legs right there, that represent Shaq. I'm like, he would probably be happy to work with a brand like Southwest. And so my idea was, hey, let's throw a festival, because South by Southwest is a huge festival. Let's call it Shack by Southwest. I know there might be some, some terms, copyright you might have to deal with, but Shack by Southwest, because if you don't know, Shack is also an EDM DJ now. He goes by DJ Diesel. So we've had him at the Honky Tonk in San Antonio. And so I'm like, let's do a Shack by Southwest festival where you travel from San Antonio to Houston and Dallas all in one weekend, promoting this new leg room and you pass out 34 jerseys because that's the new pitch. And so it'll be 34 with the inch mark at the top. Because, so I just had this whole idea cooked up that I thought was perfect. And then they come back and tell us, sorry, guys, you actually can't use celebrities. So
Oh,
now I'm in, yeah, yeah. So now I'm in panic mode. I'm like, because you know how it is when you get married to an idea that you just think is perfect.
yeah.
And on so many levels, it felt perfect. And I was just like, what am I going to do now? So now my mindset was I just need to come up with something that's clever, creative, because I thought that the death nail would be because, this is a show for Jimmy Fallon. You're looking for different ideas. I thought as long as I could come up with something that was clever, creative, that I could pitch well, that, it would be better than coming up with an idea that was similar to everybody else. Because like, as you saw on that show, there were three ideas that were pretty similar. And so to me, I was like, I just want to make sure I do something that's going to be different. And so I really played on the word pitch because in our brief, like I said, that word pitch was all over it. Like, we're increasing the pitch, we're increasing the leg room, which is the pitch. And so I thought, on the show, they would show more of that concept of the word pitch, which is where my concept derived from. Big pitch energy. It was a double meaning. So big pitch energy is a term in the marketing world about, having the energy whenever you're doing a pitch. But I was like double meaning that with, all right, your energy when you fly Southwest is going to be more because of the big pitch. So you're going to have big pitch energy. And so it's kind of like a double tie. I know it could seem confusing, but I was like, you know what? I can at least pitch the heck out of this. You know what I'm saying? Like big pitch energy and just like really bring the force. And then, I don't know if you saw, but I did the little napkin toss.
Yeah.
And this is one thing, like I told y'all this with the Duncan. They cut out a lot of intricacies in each pitch. So like I did that one. It was kind of a shout out to Red River, which is one of my clients, because as an atmosphere enhancer, randomly throughout the night, people just throw a stack of napkins in the air, and it's kind of like a fun thing that it's one of those things you can't explain why people do it, but we do it. So I did that as kind of like a shout out to Red River, but also the meaning was, because I said earlier, the idea for Southwest was born on a cocktail napkin. So on all those napkins, if you go back and look, there's a shot of them on the floor. You can see I hand wrote on every one of those napkins like a word like tired, frustrated, irritable, just like all the things that you are because have been cramped on a plane, right?
Yeah.
And so I throw them in the air, they fall down, and my next line was, "I know what you're thinking. Why is this man out here throwing napkins around during his pitch?" And then I pulled out a white cocktail napkin out of my pocket, and I was like, "The idea for Southwest was born on a cocktail napkin," and it had like the diagram on it, like
Yeah.
from the original one. I had drawn it out, and I said the idea for Southwest was born on a cocktail napkin at a bar amongst friends. So what that tells me is that innovation can strike anytime, any place, right? And so I pointed all the napkins on the ground. I'm like, all these napkins on the ground represent all the ideas, all the plans that you don't make because you're not your best self. So like there was a lot of stuff behind the theater that they don't show, but I get it. It's a short. They have to squeeze so much into it. Another fun fact behind the scenes is, so if you saw, I got put on Ryan's team, right? And so we're the ones that are doing the legs under the window pictures. And in that, at the beginning of our team challenge, I talked to him. They kind of showed the pushback from Bianca's team, but they didn't show that I actually had a pushback moment with Ryan where I said, "Hey, listen, I love this idea. I think it's so creative. I think it's fun, right? But I don't know if the client's going to like it, because what I figured out with Duncan is that if I think it's fun and creative, and it's probably not the cleanest thing in the world that the client's going to love. So actually, like, I was like, hey, I want to have like a little devil's advocate moment with you. The client loved how clean your one leg was, because they said that. They don't show it on the show, but they said that, to him. They're like, man, we love how clean that is. And so I was like, maybe we just do focus on, one leg on each side of the plane, because that'll be a cleaner look. And Ryan, he ultimately was like, he wanted to go with what he said. And I was like, that's fine. It's your idea. I want us to do what you want to do. I just wanted to give you that little bit of feedback, based on, what I've noticed from these clients. And then sure enough, whenever she goes to talk about his design, she mentioned how she felt like the legs made it clunky and a little bit too much. And so I think that if we would have went with the original design, it might have, or the design without the legs, we might have had a chance to win. But I don't know. We'll see. But it's just funny. There's so much that behind the scenes that goes into it. And then another thing they didn't show was, Jimmy looks at Raj and he goes, "Raj, if you wouldn't have been on the winning team, you would have been going home today." So it's like another thing of knowing that, there's someone that would have went home before me, but they got safety, and so that kind of stung. So,
Yeah.
obviously it was not what I wanted to happen, but everything happens for a reason, and we'll figure out what that reason is down the road.
Well, and I think what came off of it, it was one of the best ways if you do have to go off to go off. Obviously, like you showed America how much it meant to you, how much your family meant to you, and then gosh, Jimmy Fallon was in tears as well. I know that doesn't help the overall thing, but you have to look back at that moment and kind of see about how special that is, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was so cool because obviously it's been a short period of time. Obviously, we spent a little bit of time behind the scenes together. But see all the castmates were feeling emotional. I mean, I'm talking about producers were back there crying. Our costume people were crying, because everybody had felt like, this connection. Obviously, when you have a personality like mine, you interact with, pretty much everybody on the set. And so, yeah, and then the backdrop of my walk off. I'm wearing the fur coat, which is straight from Spirit Halloween. By the way, if anybody wants to go get this, you can get I think it's 69.99. You too can own this white fur coat. But yeah, walking towards the plane, and you can't really tell from the shot, but like the sun was setting by the time we were filming that. So like the sun, like one of my castmates got a picture. I need to try to figure out if we can get that, where it's just like the sun is setting. I'm walking towards the plane. It looks like something out of a movie, and it's
Wow.
just one of the most epic, walk offs. I feel like if there's a time for me to go home, that was definitely a good scene.
Well, it has been about a week or so since that has aired. So let me ask you. People have had time to catch up by now. They're watching the show. They have watched you. What has your life been like? How has you being on that show either changed things for the good or the or I wouldn't think there would be much not so good, but what has your life been like the past couple weeks?
Yeah, it's still been a whirlwind, because obviously I'm doing the exit interviews with all these reality show people that keep people updated on what's happening on the reality show. I actually just had somebody reach out the other day. They want me to go to this. It's kind of like a local movie premiere, but they want me to go to this movie premiere. It's a little Q&A that they're doing here in Dallas. So that's gonna be fun. A little red carpet
Yeah.
action. So that'll be pretty cool. It's a. I'll go ahead and give him a little plug because it seems like a pretty fun idea. But it's a movie about this guy who's going back to high school because when he was younger, he ran for class president and he lost. And because of like it's one of those things where that moment like shifted his whole life, he feels like. So he's like, if I go back to high school, I'll be able to run for president again. And if I win, it'll fix everything, So it's kind of
Wow.
a funny concept. Apparently it's like a lot of like millennial play to it and stuff. So yeah, that'll be pretty fun. And spoiler alert, keep watching On Brand because you never know. I might pop back up in there later on
I
down the
hope
road.
so.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I've been trying to play along from home. So Sonic was just I don't know if you guys have still been watching.
Yeah.
But Sonic was just this past week, and what they had to do was create a drink and a jingle. So I got my so when they gave you the brief for that, they say, they wanted a drink that was similar to the Dr. Pepper pickled drink. Did you ever try that?
Man, I didn't. It just it
I
kind of
didn't
scared me
either.
away.
Right. I mean, I love pickles. I don't mind Dr. Pepper, but just something about the pickles in the Dr. Pepper, I just could never pull myself to do it.
Yep.
But so I kind of thought I want to come up with an idea that's like that. It's like a drink that is kind of it feels uncomfortable. So I came up with the breakfast slush, which is an orange slush. You mix in some maple syrup, and so on the show they actually had syrups and stuff there that you could mix in and like make it an actual thing. But since I wasn't there to make my drink, I just pulled up to a Sonic. I ordered an order of their French toast sticks because they give you pancake syrup
Yeah.
with that. So I ordered some French toast sticks, poured two maple syrups in there, swirled all that around, and then this is kind of like the pickle thing. I ordered a side of bacon, crumpled it up, and put all the bacon bits inside of the slushy. I know it sounds so ridiculous, but I was like, I'm trying to think of something because the thing about it, I feel the pickled Dr. Pepper, it might taste delicious, but it's the shock value of seeing pickles go into a soda that makes that what it is.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm thinking, what is something that we could do? And egg, no. So bacon, everybody loves bacon. If you don't love bacon, you can get it without the bacon. But just like putting that bacon in there, I was like, let's see what happens. It actually turned out being not a bad drink. I tried it because the bacon, it's like a little surprise candy every now and then. You get like a little salty, treat. And it's funny because I made it And then I kind of filmed, a video where I was for Instagram, Facebook, where I was kind of showing off my idea, and then I put it down to the side. I come back like 5 minutes later after I'm done like putting together my reel, and my daughter has finished the rest of that breakfast slush. I was like, and she's only 3, about to be 4, and I'm like, Charlie, what are you doing? She goes, Daddy, I love your drink. And so I know hey, it's from the taste buds of a 3 to 4 year old. The breakfast slush is a hit. So if it actually is a hit moving forward, I don't know. Um, and then what we had Marshalls the day before that.
Yeah.
Marshalls is one, man. I wish I really could have been there for that one because I've loved Marshalls growing up. The
Yeah.
Marshalls, TJ Maxx. I am a shopper in a sense that I love finding good deals, and I love just like going around and looking, and you never know what you're gonna find. Um, and so for Marshalls, their whole thing was they talk about, they have the good stuff. They have the good stuff. And so whenever I hear the good stuff, the first thing that comes to my mind is that Kenny Chesney song. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's the good stuff, right? And so I was like, what better thing to pitch? Because they're already, positioning me as the honky tonk MC country boy. I'm like, let's come up with, when I hear the good stuff, I think of Kenny Chesney. So let's create a false front of a honky tonk saloon. So they'll say Marshall's Saloon on the outside. Um, so I guess to give you a campaign, the brief was you had to create an activation that encouraged people to come try out and see Marshall's stuff, right? So, you've seen activations like Chili's just recently did one where they pretended they were an insurance sales company. And then whenever you were getting your insurance, you actually were going into a Chili's restaurant because they were saving you money, whatever. So there's like all different types. And the one that won was cool. It was a Marshall style closet where you came in, they have some nice style of you, you get to take a picture. Well, my idea was to create a honky tonk because I'm thinking, what better way to create buzz than to drop a honky tonk right in the middle of New York?
Yeah.
Because like they're in downtown New York, and the amount of people, running the events for Red River, the amount of people that come into town from like New York, Connecticut, all those northeastern places, especially, that are like, oh, we want a taste of Texas. We want to, So I was like, let's give people that taste of Texas because that's going to draw people's
Yeah.
attention. So you go into the honky tonk, and on the walls are all wanted posters, but instead of like somebody's face, it's an article of clothing or a purse or a mixer, all the things you can find at Marshalls, and it says wanted, the good stuff underneath it. On the menu behind, there'd be a barkeep, a bartender. On the menu behind the bartender says today's special, the good stuff. And so what the thing is you walk into the honky tonk, you ask the bartender, hey, I want the good stuff. And that's kind of like the password because what this is a honky tonk speakeasy where in the front is the honky tonk. Once you ask the bartender for the good stuff, he escorts you to the back where, and this is an idea that I pitched to the producers, was I need twins, a bartender, and then the other guy that is in the back. I want them to be twins to where it feels like you're being transported to another world, right? Just kind of like another element. And the back would be a Beverly Hills style Marshalls where you get to see all the little luxury items. You have somebody carrying you around, kind of like those fancy stores
Yeah.
where somebody greets you at the front and has a drink for you, and it's like, come with me, what are you looking for? And so it goes from honky tonk to like elevated Marshall experience
Yeah.
and where you take a picture at the back. And I just think that it would have been such a fun, activation to be able to pull off. And, because we're getting these ideas and they don't know who's going to be eliminated. So we're filming out of order a little bit in the sense that like I still got to at least do some stuff for Marshalls, even though I didn't get to that episode because I got cut before. Um, but that was another cool thing is because we're all like planning, they're planning for us all to be on all the episodes, right? And so with that, Marshalls hooked us up with like a bunch of free gear. So I have some
Wow.
free Marshall shirts. And have you ever wore a pair of what are they called? Birkenstocks shoes?
My wife loves those,
Yeah,
and they're
so
hot now. They're
I've heard
hot.
of,
They're
yeah.
all around the college campus now.
Really? Okay. So look, anybody that's listening out there, if you get anything from this podcast, what I'm telling you, run and grab you a pair of these Birkenstock shoes, because I got a pair that I swear are the most comfortable walking shoes I have ever had, because I've never worn a pair, but they were like, if you're telling me that I have a chance at, because they essentially said in, the wardrobe, like, hey, anything that's up here that's your size that you want, feel free to grab. And I'm like, you ain't got to tell me twice. So I walked out of there with like three pairs of shoes, like four different Hawaiian type shirts, because they're like trying to style me in my style, but from Marshalls, and like two pairs of jeans. I was like, okay. And one of those happened to be a pair of Birkenstock shoes. And I was like, they looked funky. They looked
Yeah.
funky. But I put them on, and, after I got eliminated, I walked around New York a lot because, I have a bunch of free time because I'm still waiting to come back possibly.
Oh, okay. So you're still they don't send you home. You're still there to participate in
Yeah,
some stuff, quote
I was
unquote.
still, yeah. I don't know if that's supposed to be a surprise or not, but so I'm still waiting around, and so I got a lot of free time during the day to go explore. And I tried some of the shoes that I brought, walking shoes and the Birkenstocks. I never had my feet hurting after a day of walking around in those.
Wow.
They are the most comfortable walking shoes, because I think what it is, it might be for my feet specifically, but there's a more padding under the, like, the flat part of your foot, whatever. I don't know, the arch, the
Yeah.
arch. There's like a specifically a pad right under the arch. I don't know if that's what did it, but yes, go get you a pair of Berkeys. They call them Berkeys in New York, because one of the ladies was like, that was a show handler. She was like, "Oh, you got you some Berkeys, huh?" And I was like, what's a Berkey?" But yeah, so Birkenstocks, I can't plug them enough. I got to go get as many pair of these shoes as I can before they go out of, out of style, because they are so comfortable. So, yeah, Marshalls was fun. Wish I
Yeah.
could have did it. And then I'm not sure when you guys are releasing that, but we're kind of going over this on Tuesday, and tonight, the next episode, the number one episode I wish I could have been on. They are going to MetLife Stadium to do tonight's
Wow.
episode. It's with Captain Morgan, um, which, with my background is working at a MC at a honky tonk bar. What what more perfect of a connection? But they're going to MetLife, and they're going to be pitching ideas for a Super Bowl commercial. So everyone that is
Wow.
on the winning team gets to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Come on.
Yeah. So, you know, hey, and the way our Panthers are looking right now, maybe we'll be there.
Telling you what, Birkenstocks are hot and so are the Panthers, man.
That's that's and so are the Camels, baby. Come on,
You're
coming off
right. You're right.
a
You're
win
right.
this weekend. And so I hear you guys. We have homecoming this weekend, right? So what's going on for homecoming week? We got any fun things going on this week?
Oh man, BBT, I tell you what, if you're listening to this on the, because we are gonna have this up on YouTube, of course, and then we're gonna also I'm gonna hook this to the end of my special homecoming edition podcast. So if you're listening to this right now, I've told you about so much stuff that's going on. How about this, BT? On actual homecoming Saturday, we've got swimming, volleyball, a wrestling exhibition, a lacrosse exhibition, the football game, and then
Wow.
soccer at night. And on Thursday beforehand, we're doing homecoming hoopla and having that. And as you know, homecoming is an awesome time of year because I tell people I'm excited for all the new people on the staff. I said homecoming is when Bowie's Creek gets full, and it is the perfect. I mean, this place is perfect for so many reasons, but boy, it's like out of a movie set. Homecoming in a in an awesome small southern college, and that's what it is. And I wanted to ask you too. You have great memories from homecoming, and one of the pictures that we do have from you is you are getting your crown on when you have your cheerleading uniform on because you were doing the game, then in the court, and I think. Both it was both two cheerleaders that were homecoming king and queen that year, right?
Yeah, so that was actually my girlfriend at the time, Lydia. She was the homecoming queen. Um, so yeah, it was pretty cool. We're obviously partners for cheerleading. We were dating, and so it's pretty cool for us to be able to win that together. It was one of those things where she was definitely like our hype person that was encouraging everyone to go vote for us because I think she really was wanting to win that, and she was very type A, so she was like very much like a go getter, and I might owe my win to her because she was definitely out there peddling for us. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I remember, because cool thing about it too is each year you have people from each class represented in the homecoming parade, and I was in the parade every year, and it was almost like a running joke where, so the first year we come in as freshmen, I got voted onto the court, and so like there started my clock, and there was a reason I was in the parade every year for like, I want to say it was almost 10 years straight, because it's crazy because I uh I win homecoming king senior year. Well, you have to come back the next year. I started my 1L year at Campbell, and you have to come back the next year to ride in the parade as kind of like last year's homecoming king and kind of pass off the crown. And so I wasn't cheerleading my 1L year. I took a year off because, the first year of law school, they always say is like the hardest. So I took the first year off, but because of the homecoming king status, I came back. Well, then I picked up cheerleading my 2L and 3L years. So because of that, I was in uh, the parade for those 2 years. And then I don't remember. I think like somebody on there asked me if I would drive one of the special guests or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but like for the next 2 years, there was another reason why I was in the parade. And like I think the last year it was like random. I just happened somebody happened to spot me on campus, like, yo, would you be in the parade? Blah blah blah. You know, and so I was like, sure. So it was just fun. There was like a 10-year run, which seems absurd, that I was in the parade every single year for whatever reason. And so yeah, so I always love the homecoming parade. You're right. The campus is the buzz. I feel like that's the closest we get to like a big time school game, where as far as like the buzz on that campus that day, because there's so many people around, there's so much excitement, you know, no matter what's happening with the football team and their record, because obviously it's always more exciting if winning's happening going on.
Yeah.
But it's like the homecoming is like no matter what, it's just an exciting time because of how many people are back, how much the campus is filled, like you said, and there's just so much going on. Man, just I remember coming back to eat Marshbank's breakfast. That was always one of my favorite things because, oh man, I love me a good old biscuits and gravy from Marshbanks. So yeah, it's always fun, and I kind of had this one little tradition where, so I don't know if they still do. You know if they still do the Easter egg hunt
They
like
do
via
where you
social
can
media?
find like the golden egg and get really big
Yes,
prizes. Yeah, yeah.
yes. So your boy was part of that inaugural Easter egg hunt, and let me tell you, I ended up in every fountain on that campus looking for a golden egg one year. And I'm talking about it was 8:30 in the morning. Uh and it was springtime, obviously, but it was still a little bit, it was one of those springs where it's still kind of cold.
Yeah.
A clue comes up that I'm hiding under the water in one of the fountains. I'm at Marshbanks eating breakfast. I run outside, jump into the fountain out there, and start looking. Not there. I'm like, dang it. So then I run to Lundy Fetterman from there, jump into the Lundy Fetterman fountain, looking around, not there. Dang it. I'm walking over. I'm like, where could this be? I'm walking over to the divinity school where they had the little like fountain you can put your hand in. And I see somebody putting their hand in and grabbing it as I'm like soaked head to toe from jumping in these fountains at 8:30 in the morning. And And yeah, so I will always have love for the Easter egg hunt. But that became one of my things. Whenever I go back, I have to jump in one of the fountains. Don't tell the campus security; they might get me now. But I used to love jumping in. Lundy Family was my favorite because as a business school grad, that's the one I enjoy the most.
Well, I know you can't make this homecoming, but we already have been talking about getting BT and his family back here for a future football game or something on campus. But we will also BT. I know this has been so much fun. You now have so many people that are hooked on the show here in the athletic department and campus. We will check in with you again in a couple of weeks as we follow the show. So thank you so much for your time again. You gave us a rooting interest. We're always rooting for you, man, and it was so much fun to go on this ride with you, and we'll still be alongside.
I appreciate that. And like I said, Camel Nation, I appreciate all the love you guys and the support. I definitely felt it online, Facebook, Instagram, and who knows where the next chapter can go in this journey. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll definitely come back and go over some more of the stuff from On Brand in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, PT.
Thanks, Chris.